Karwa was a Liberian nurse and Ebola survivor who was named Co-Person of the Year by Time magazine in 2014. This was due to her efforts to combat the West African Ebola virus epidemic in Liberia. After surviving the disease, she and her best friend, who eventually became her husband, worked for Doctors Without Borders in Liberia. Despite the fact that Karwa was Ebola-free and wouldn't be able to contract it again, the disease claimed the lives of millions of people, including her. Despite the fact that Karwa was Ebola-free and wouldn't be able to contract the disease again, the stigma that surrounded the illness eventually led to her death at the young age of 28. Because of the dangerous stigma that came with the deadly disease, people did not want to take care of Karwa when birth complications arose when she was pregnant because everyone thought that she still had the Ebola virus. And due to the lack of care she received, she eventually died from hemorrhaging. Karwa's story is a clear depiction of the global health issue of maternal mortality and how it affects millions of mothers around the world.
According to the World Health Organization, maternal death is specifically defined as death of a woman while pregnant or within 42 days of termination of pregnancy, irrespective of the duration and site of the pregnancy, from any cause related to or aggravated by the pregnancy or its management, but not from accidental or incidental causes.
Every day, approximately 830 women die from preventable causes related to pregnancy and childbirth. For women living in rural or poor communities, maternal mortality is even higher. Almost all of these deaths occur in low-resource settings, and most could have been prevented. Maternal deaths in some areas of the world reflects inequities in access to health services and represents the gap between rich and poor. So why exactly do women die? Many women are dying due to complications during and following pregnancy and childbirth, and most are highly preventable or treatable. Severe bleeding, hemorrhaging, and preeclampsia, which is caused by high blood pressure, are non-communicable diseases that can arise during delivery and cause complications. The remainder are caused by infections, unsafe abortions, and other diseases such as malaria and communicable diseases such as HIV/AIDS. In America, many women are able to be pregnant while HIV positive and still live happy and healthy lives. In many developing countries, this is not a possibility, for HIV can quickly become AIDS and become fatal for mothers if they are not taken care of properly. This is especially true in sub-Saharan Africa, which has the highest prevalence rate of people with HIV.
Sierra Leone is a beautiful country located in West Africa, nestled right in between Guinea and Liberia. It's known for its tropical climate and diverse environments. However, due to disease, high unemployment rates, and other factors, about 60% of the population live below the poverty line. The country was also a very popular topic of discussion during the Ebola outbreak in 2014, which took the lives of thousands of people. The maternal mortality rate is also one of the highest in the world. Out of 100,000 deaths, 1,360 are due to maternal death. 20% of these maternal deaths are among teenagers ages 15 to 19. In areas like Sierra Leone with such high poverty rates, people are less likely to receive adequate health care. The life expectancy in Sierra Leone is also among the lowest in the world, and women are more likely to birth approximately 3 to 4 children in rural, poorer areas. Because Sierra Leone has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world, we decided to put our money towards improving maternal health in this country specifically. The barriers that limit mothers to access quality maternal health care services should be identified and addressed on all levels of the healthcare system. And with a budget of $50,000, we are going to attempt to do exactly that.
Mentioned previously, Sierra Leone has the worst maternal mortality rates, but to fully understand why this is, we decided to take an ethnographic approach and utilize the $50,000 towards an in-depth research program. The main 3 steps of this program is to collect qualitative data through research, analyze the research, then figure out a course of action based on our findings. Princeton University defines ethnography as a qualitative research method predicted on the diversity of culture at home and abroad. Ethnography involves hands-on, on-the-scene learning and is relevant wherever people are relevant. Through our program, we plan on studying the people and culture of Sierra Leone and the role that childbirth and pregnancy play within their culture and healthcare system. The research will primarily take place in the areas of Sierra Leone that have the highest poverty rates. These areas include the districts of Moembai and Tonkoli, which will have the highest poverty rates in the country.
In this program, researchers will live with the people of Mwamba and Tonkalili to research and understand the role that childbirth and pregnancy play within their society and culture. Based on the ethnographic research we compile, we will be able to determine the factors of their healthcare system that seem to be the biggest contributor to the high maternal mortality rates. Those conducting the ethnographic research in the program will be predominantly women from Sierra Leone. By recruiting women who not only look like the women in Sierra Leone, but are also fluent in the language they speak, will establish mutual trust between the researchers and the local people in the area. Women within the program will be assigned to several areas within the Mwamba and Tonkalili districts, where they will proceed with their ethnographic research for a year.
Since we have a small budget, we want to utilize our money in the best way possible. After a year or two of research, we will determine which area still has the highest maternal mortality rates and use the rest of the money in that specific area. By investing part of the money in ethnographic research, we will be able to fully understand what problems need to be solved, which will help us to spend the rest of the $50,000 in the most needed areas. This could be going towards transportation, medications, vitamins, or even programs that educate midwives or the women in the villages on how to properly take care of other pregnant women. Our end goal is to hopefully make a big enough impact in Sierra Leone so we can attract other investors to help expand the program and do more research in other countries that have the same problems. No issue is the same for every country, and that's why we feel that it is important to implement a research-heavy program that will give sufficient evidence and reason for investors to invest in our programs.
First, the team of 10 researchers will work for 1 year in Sierra Leone, working to find the gaps in maternal mortality. Next, the remaining $38,000 will be used for our course of action, whether it is transportation, medicine, or educational programs. These costs are estimations and will change based on the analyzations that the researchers found to be of the biggest concern.
The issues that seem to contribute to maternal mortality rates are not the same in every country, region, or even city. By investigating the root problem in different areas of the world, we will be able to effectively attack that problem firsthand, which will lead to greater change in the long run. If the issue in one country is access to transportation to get to hospitals, then putting money towards buses is what we will focus on. If transportation is not the issue, but rather access to trained nurses and midwives, then putting money towards education programs to train nurses and midwives will be our goal. Identifying the root cause is the first step in creating sustainable change.
The most important part is understanding what the women of Sierra Leone want. Going into a country with an agenda is unlikely to work long term. Having open and clear communication as well as immersing ourselves into their culture is the only way to truly understand why so many women are dying during childbirth. By asking the women of the community how they feel and where they believe the most issues lie, we can begin to solve the problems together. Having open and clear communication as well as immersing ourselves into their culture is the only way to truly understand why so many women are dying during childbirth. By asking the women of the community how they feel and where they believe the most issues lie, we can begin to solve the problem together. By doing this, we will be able to figure out the central reasons as to why the maternal death rates are so high, which will therefore help us make a direct and effective plan of action that will generate long-term results. We are encouraged that our plan will be different than others in the past because we will be working alongside the women of Sierra Leone, and rather than telling them what they need, they will tell us. We want to fill the gap that prevents them from having the same resources as women in higher income countries. The plan we have laid out for you today is not an end-all answer. It is just the beginning in order to attract investors to our project. We are confident that when you are working with people by the means of their culture, much more can be accomplished. We are optimistic that these results will entice investors to put their money toward our project of equalizing the natural right to life around the world. The answer to maternal mortality lies inside the communication between the people suffering and those who want to help. We hope that we have brought you along board with us and you'll want to help seek this change mothers around the world are dying for.